Yo, what is up everybody, and welcome back to another Madden 20 online CFM video. Not really game today, because we are mainly going over the 2021 NFL offseason here in the Premier Madden League, which was a crazy offseason for our Miami Dolphins. You'll definitely want to stick around throughout this video because we made a lot of moves with our Dolphins, including a blockbuster trade. Right now, we are watching the Pittsburgh Steelers take Trevor Lawrence with the #1 overall pick in the NFL draft. The Steelers traded up to the #1 pick with all expectations of grabbing their new franchise quarterback out of Clemson, Trevor Lawrence. The San Francisco 49ers, even though they have Jimmy Garoppolo still under contract on that mammoth deal, also traded up to the #2 overall pick with their eyes on their own franchise quarterback, Justin Fields, out of Ohio State. Soon after, our Miami Dolphins will be on the clock with the 7th overall pick. Via the Laramie Tunsil trade, we have the Houston Texans' first and second round pick this season. The Texans did not have a great season, so we'll be on the clock soon. Let's go over some of what happened in the first week of free agency in this offseason. No, that is not the blockbuster trade I'm talking about, but a solid trade nonetheless for our Miami Dolphins. In exchange for our late 3rd round pick, we acquire Austin Blight from the Los Angeles Rams. The offensive line is definitely a concerning point for our team, so we wanted to address that as much as we could in free agency, and that we did. We signed Kyle Long, and we also traded for Austin Blight, and welcome back Kalen Ballage into the running back rotation. Right now, he'll be the backup to Boston Scott. Why not bring in Ballage back? He was a solid piece for us in season 1 as we move on to pick #3. So there were not really many big names in the free agency class this season. Most guys re-signed their superstars. The biggest names in free agency were the likes of Akeem Hicks, who you saw we tried to sign and were not able to, and Allen Robinson. Not really pieces that we even need on our team that badly. So, you know, even though we have all this cap space with the Dolphins, we entered free agency with about $100 million of cap space. There just weren't really many big names to re-sign, so we had to get a bit creative as far as trying to bring in big names like Austin Blight, trading around draft picks and assets. Right now, we're watching the Tennessee Titans on the clock with pick #3, and then a couple of picks will be on the clock, and we have 3 guys that we have in mind with pick #7. One of them is Tristan Wirfs, the right tackle out of Iowa, because, well, we need to continue building the offensive line, and Tristan Wirfs will be the last piece to the offensive line that currently has Kyle Long, Larry Warford, Marcus Gilbert, and Austin Blight on it. So we could get a franchise tackle. That would be cool. But Tristan Wirfs has gone off the board with the #3 overall pick. The good news for us is pick #4 is not going to be a guy that we have on our draft board. The Dallas Cowboys have been rumored to take a wide receiver at pick #4. That's fine by us because there it is, Rondale Moore out of Purdue. The last 2 guys we have on our big board right now that we would really like to get with pick #7 are Xavier Thomas, the pass rusher out of Clemson, and Caden Stearns, the strong safety out of Texas. So as long as one of these 2 guys, or both of these guys, don't go in the next 2 picks, we'll have our choice of who we really want. And why do we want Caden Stearns, the strong safety, the position that Minkah Fitzpatrick plays on our team? Because it was the position that Minkah Fitzpatrick played on our team. Because Minkah Fitzpatrick is no longer on the Miami Dolphins as of that moment of the NFL draft. Yeah, that's right. We're getting close to what happened as far as that blockbuster trade, but not yet. You see, we bring in a couple of more veterans. We bring in Olivier Vernon, and we also bring back Jason Verrett. And now we have a big decision on our hands. 5th-year options for 1st-round picks are currently on the table, and Josh Rosen is looking for his extension. Also, a big storyline of the Dolphins in the offseason is who's going to be the starting quarterback, because Josh Rosen had a pretty cold and harsh ending to his season in Buffalo, and the front office is currently split on whether Rosen should get season 3 to continue building as being the franchise quarterback, or we move to Khalil Tate. And clearly this decision is split right now because we're asking the general manager, what do you think? Should we be giving Josh Rosen this 5th-year option that locks him in for the next 2 seasons on our roster? At the end of the day, we pass on the 5th-year option. A big decision as far as the future of our Dolphins franchise, and probably good news for Khalil Tate. That gives him a better chance of becoming the franchise quarterback, barring the franchise tag, Josh Rosen will be a free agent after this season. Minkah Fitzpatrick's 5th-year option is on the table, and this is more of a no-brainer. Of course we're going to accept this. But I know what you're thinking. You literally just said you traded Minkah Fitzpatrick. How do you have a 5th-year option available for him? Minkah wasn't traded at this point of the season. At this point of the offseason, we were fully committed to having Minkah Fitzpatrick on our roster for years to come. But there was a blockbuster trade on the table, and the team we were negotiating with really wanted Minkah. And the deal almost didn't happen because I was not willing to give up Minkah Fitzpatrick, a superstar of our defense, a man we built since day one of this CFM. But, well, you'll see what happens soon and the reason why we made that trade. Right now, a big sigh of relief as Patrick Surtain II goes off the board, and that means that either hold on a second, both Xavier Thomas and Caden Sterns are on the board because the Seattle Seahawks very swiftly grabbed Justin Ross, the receiver out of Clemson, with the 6th overall pick, and the Miami Dolphins are currently on the clock. We have either a chance at getting a superstar pass rusher of the future to go alongside Malik Harrison, or we could grab the heir apparent to Minkah Fitzpatrick here in Miami. And my heart is set on drafting Caden Sterns. I really like his physical stats. I really like his combine stats. So, we're pulling the trigger. With the 7th overall pick, the Miami Dolphins have drafted Caden Sterns out of Texas, and it's looking like a solid pick, a top prospect according to the True Talent rating, and looking at these stats, definitely fits the bill as a franchise safety. 6'1", 210, 89 speed, 87 hit power, great tackling. The coverage will work on. We'll try to use our Caden Sterns and build him up the way we built up Minkah Fitzpatrick in season 1 as well as parts of season 2 as we move on to now pick number 10 here, because I believe picks number 8 and 9 happened while I was looking at Caden Sterns' stats. So now let's get into that blockbuster trade, right? So Minkah Fitzpatrick is gone. CeeDee Lamb is also gone. And our first round pick, our own first round pick, the 26th overall pick of the NFL draft, is also gone as we go over a couple of more free agent acquisitions, including Vic Beasley returning to the team. And here it is. Minkah Fitzpatrick, CeeDee Lamb, and the 26th overall pick for DeAndre Hopkins from the Houston Texans. That page was a lie, by the way. DeAndre Hopkins is a 99 overall, as you guys are about to see. D-Hop on our team. Welcome, Nuke, to the Miami Dolphins. Can you say blockbuster trade? Can you say franchise-altering trade? Like I said, man, this trade almost didn't happen because I was not willing to part with Minkah Fitzpatrick. But our Dolphins need a go-to superstar receiver on this offense, and DeAndre Hopkins, he fits the bill. So we end up replacing CeeDee Lamb with DeAndre Hopkins. We are going to try to replace Minkah Fitzpatrick with Caden Sterns, and then we give up the 26th overall pick in the draft because, well, we just got DeAndre Hopkins on our team. So now our next pick in the draft is not until pick number 7 of the 2nd round. We have the Texans' 2nd round pick as well as their 1st round pick. We also have the Texans' 3rd round pick because of the Davin Godchaux trade that happened during season 2 of this CFM. As you see, we're currently scrambling through our board right now because we are on the clock. And we are thinking about going safety again to potentially draft a young safety to go next to Caden Sterns, since Eric Berry is not exactly, the age we're looking for a franchise safety, even though he is under contract for the next 2 seasons. But we're not really looking at safety as much as we could potentially be looking at running back. Even though we have Boston Scott, who did very well, and we just signed Kalen Ballage in free agency, there's a chance we could go running back with this pick. We're also looking at Jabril Cox, outside linebacker, looking at a couple of other guys. But as far as best player available on our big board, that would be Lynn J. Dixon out of Clemson. We didn't draft a Clemson guy in the 1st round. We're looking to draft a Clemson guy in the 2nd round with the 7th overall pick. Solid combine stats if you ask me. The top 3 stats solid. So, Lynn J. Dixon, welcome to the Miami Dolphins. Number 14 in True Talent with 93 speed and 93 agility. That is looking like a good pick for our Dolphins. Is Lynn J going to immediately be the starter over Boston Scott? We'll have to wait and see how the preseason battle goes. But Lynn J. Dixon definitely gives us a great 1-2 punch along with Boston Scott. Now this will move Kalen Ballage to number 3 on the depth chart, but that's not really too big of a deal because, I mean, Kalen Ballage was more of an insurance pickup than really anything else. So we get Lynn J. Dixon out here. Definitely excited about this pick. Really excited about the way our offseason is going so far. We have a couple of guys that we let go into free agency that we did not re-sign, like Matthew Judon and Jordan Howard. But, you know, there were a couple of guys that we let go that we brought back, like Jason Verrett and Vic Beasley. And then we brought in a couple of new names like Olivier Vernon and Kyle Long. As you guys see, the Carolina Panthers are on the clock. And then after that, we are going to be drafting again. We have our own pick in the second round. And I must say, the fact that we pulled out the Minkah Fitzpatrick trade without giving up the 7th overall pick in the draft was huge. Because let's say we give up the 7th overall pick instead of the 26th overall pick, we don't get Caden Stearns. And now that I have Caden Stearns, we have Caden Stearns, I should say, on our roster, you know, I feel happy about the move that we made. I was very uneasy about, you know, making such a huge trade, giving up so many assets, but I mean, CeeDee Lamb was never going to be DeAndre Hopkins, man. And we have a chance to make Caden Stearns, Minkah Fitzpatrick, and we have DeAndre Hopkins on our team, man. So we are on the clock now with pick number 26. We are looking at potentially an outside linebacker. Probably not going to go running back again since we literally just drafted running back. Probably not going to go offensive line because at this point in the draft, the offensive linemen that you can get are going to be like 70 overalls or 71, and they wouldn't even be starters on our line at this point. And you know, I'm not a big fan of drafting offensive line unless it's in the first round of these drafts, unless it's a high talent like Tristan Wirfs, because otherwise, you know, like I said, they're not really even starters on your team. So as we look at the board, I'm thinking Jabril Cox, the guy we were looking at with our first second round pick in this draft. We might be able to grab him in the back half of the second round. Otherwise, you know, we look at potentially, you know, Thomas Booker here out of Stanford. His combine stats, okay, second in bench press, definitely like that. We could maybe go cornerback here, but obviously cornerback is not a pressing need of our team, especially since we did draft Bryce Hall with a number 1 pick last season, our first of 3 number 1 overall picks. So the Dolphins haven't exactly burned up, you know, a lot of cap space in this offseason. We haven't exactly even got rid of many of our picks. I was hoping to get rid of most of our draft picks and trade them in for like star players. But, you know, we did trade one of our first round picks and we did bring in a star player. And you know what? We're bringing in some good young talent. We do end up drafting Jabril Cox, outside linebacker. And it looks like he's more of a coverage kind of guy. 84 speed, 71 zone. We could potentially move him to middle linebacker if we didn't have Jerome Baker and Raekwon McMillan. But still, he might be, you know, a guy we could drop into coverage every once in a while at outside linebacker. And potentially someone that we start on this team over Vic Beasley. So at this point in the draft, we have potentially drafted 3 new, you know, guys that could be starters on the team. And that's what you want from the draft, man. You want good talent. You want, you know, maybe not day 1 starters, but a chance at being day 1 starters. And that's what all of these guys are bringing to the table right now. By the way, you guys did see we signed Justin Lucas in free agency. That was just, or Jordan Lucas, I should say. That was just more of an insurance thing to where if we didn't get Caden Stearns and we didn't really get a great safety, that Jordan Lucas would be like a plug-in guy. He was like 91 speed kind of guy, someone that I might have been able to use her and finesse my way into a couple of picks, but it's going to be a lot more fun developing Caden Stearns in Season 3 with these Dolphins. It's going to be a lot of fun throwing the ball to DeAndre Hopkins. The question is, who's going to be throwing the ball to D-Hop? Because like I said, the Miami Dolphins are not sure who their franchise quarterback is, and as we are on the clock right now with the 7th pick in the 3rd round, we have our eye on Tyreek Smith out of Ohio State. This is going to be our last draft pick until the 5th round. Remember, we traded away our late 3rd round pick to get Austin Blythe, and we also traded away our 4th round pick during Season 2 to get Larry Warford from the New Orleans Saints. So we won't be on the clock for a while, but that's fine by us because we got 2 starting offensive linemen out of the deal. And like I said, we have our eye on Tyreek Smith out of Ohio State, 21 years old. We're definitely going youth in this draft, drafting a lot of young guys. Obviously, looking at our draft board, Avery Young is also up there, but, you know, having a nice end to go along with who we currently have. We have Christian Wilkins, we have Olivier Vernon. You know, maybe we could draft Tyreek Smith and we could develop him, and, you know, one day he takes over for Olivier Vernon because Vernon is only on a 1-year deal. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. And we check out Tyreek Smith's stats, and they're not bad. So back to the quarterback situation. Josh Rosen, at this point, I was hoping would not be on our roster. Josh Rosen was on the trade block for the entire NFL offseason, and the Dolphins came close to making deals with a couple of teams, including the Minnesota Vikings, amongst other teams that were in negotiations. The Detroit Lions were in negotiations to try to acquire Josh Rosen, but no deal was made. Teams felt that the price tag on Rosen was a bit too high, so Josh Rosen is still on this Dolphins roster, but at some point, we would like to trade Josh Rosen to grab another player for this Dolphins team, to grab another starter for our team at least. See what we could get in return for Rosen, especially since we did not pick up his 5th-year option. Now, a little bit of the pressure is on our Dolphins to either figure out if Rosen's our starting guy or trade him before the trade deadline. So, that's definitely going to be a storyline to follow throughout the preseason as we draft Avery Young, a guy that was on the top of our board for a couple of rounds now. 2nd round talent, 92 speed. The coverage is, not great, but we drafted this guy in the 5th round as a 2nd round talent. And you know what? Avery Young is a guy we could potentially, develop into our nickel cornerback. One day we could have Bryce Hall, Xavier Howard, and our guy there instead of Jason Verrett. So, once again, we are drafting great value with our picks. This is not going to be a great value pick right here. I mean, at this point, we're in the 6th round of the draft. I was looking for one more good safety to add to our team as some sort of depth. Like I said, I still wanted to find the heir apparent to Eric Berry at the free safety spot. But, in the 6th round of the NFL draft, you're never really going to find your guy. So we ended up grabbing Kellen Laybourne out of, Florida State. Yes, it was. And he ends up being a 62 overall. So, just kind of taking a chance in the 6th round. Why not? That's really what you do with these late round picks. You just take a chance at someone that might have star potential. I'm not sure this guy will make our final roster because we have Lynn J. Dixon, we have Boston Scott, we have Kalen Ballage, and then we also have Rakeem Boyd, who we drafted late last season's draft. So this guy's currently number 5 in the depth chart, and I'm not sure we're carrying 5 running backs on our depth chart going into week 1, but we'll give him preseason to see how he does, obviously. Our final pick is the 26th pick in the 7th round, which is, towards the end of the draft, so there's literally nobody left on the board. So I am gonna draft a safety because why not? I was really looking at combine stats and trying to see who had the best 40-yard dash time with this pick. To be completely honest with you guys, I didn't really have anything else in mind, so this guy had the 2nd fastest 40 for safety, so all right, why not? Bring you up. And yeah, he's fast and he's not good at anything else, and he's also 5'9", so yeah, that's that. So that's the draft. And before we end today's video, I'll show you guys a bit of our first preseason game, which took place against the New York Giants, which includes the debut of Nuke Hopkins. For only the first quarter, we had our starters in the game, including Josh Rosen and DeAndre Hopkins. A first look at Nuke in a Miami Dolphins jersey. Well, Season 3 is going to be a lot of fun for our Dolphins. Once again, we have reshaped the roster in the offseason. This time around, we make a jaw-dropping trade. These kind of trades don't happen that often in a 32-man CFM as strict as the Premier Madden League that we are in, but we managed to pull it off by giving up a lot of assets, including a young superstar at the strong safety position. And honestly, man, I felt like, Minkah Fitzpatrick could be used maybe better on a different team than ours. Then, the fact that DeAndre Hopkins, we could use him a lot more instead of, having Minkah Fitzpatrick. We could develop safeties on this Dolphins team, I feel like. So, at the end, that's the reasoning on why that trade happened. As you guys see, DeAndre Hopkins is an absolute beast out here, man. Let this short sample size show you that DeAndre Hopkins completely changes the outlook of this Dolphins team as we head into Season 3. Next time I see you guys for this online CFM, we're not even going to be done with the preseason because we need to figure out what to do with this quarterback situation. Both Khalil Tate and Josh Rosen are on the block. Whoever gets traded is gone, and whoever sticks around gets to be the franchise quarterback. I don't care who sticks around and who doesn't. Both of these guys at this point in the CFM are superstar players. So they have good value, and both of them have a good chance of being traded. Which one gets traded? Well, you'll have to stick around. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed it. Subscribe for more Madden 20 CFM gameplays, and I'll catch you guys next time.